It's a good tuna, but I think I paid too much.
I always wear my mask and wash my hands after going home.
I am the king of the ring.
Welcome to the Japan What Podcast, episode 194. I am your host, Matthew PMBigelow.com. And I'm coming at you from the Aizumicho Studios in Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. The armpit of Asia. Covering AI markets, Japan Society 5.0, migration, population decline, and what was the other thing? Rising conflict in the Indo-Pacific. Happy New Year is my first week back. Couple of weeks break there, maybe even longer. And I think everybody goes through that. I saw a lot of memes of people going back to work after they've forgotten how to do their job because of the holidays. Just a bunch of people sitting around looking at each other. Is that what we do? I think that's what a lot of people do. Who knows what's going on here? But anyways, it's been a very nice, pleasant start to the year for me. I don't know about you, but things are all, what do they say in jolly old England? Tippity-boo. Things are all tippity-boo over here. Got a pretty busy day today for the podcast. Lots of research circulating around. And I figured we'd begin with some seasonal news here. This is, of course, a zodiac country. Not the Zodiac Killer, mind you, with his stupid puzzles. People solve them. Yay. But the zodiac calendar, which is the 12 animals, the rat and the snake and the bull, all that stuff, the tiger. What year are you? I'm a monkey. Year of the monkey. And I'm a proud monkey. I am the monkey. But this year is the year of the snake. It's the worst animal on the zodiac, unless you're a psycho. But like if it's the year of the dog, you know, Japan likes cute shit. We can just put like a dog on something to make it cute and be like, you're the dog. And everyone's like, oh yeah, what a cute dog. You know what dog is? A dog is good. Or year of the dragon. It's like, yeah, cool. Yeah. Year of the rat. It's kind of getting there. But, you know, you could have some sort of something. I don't know. Maybe I would avoid it too. Avoid the rat, even though it's the one that apparently wins the Zodiac Wars, the Celestial Wars that go on in the beyond the Oort cloud that surrounds us, the terrifying Oort cloud. But this is the year of the snake. And when we went to do the Hatsumode, the first prayer of the year, I used to do them, then I didn't do them for a while because I was like, I'm not a religious Buddhist. Why should I go pray at your shrines? But now I'm back into it. I have kids, and it's actually kind of not bad. It's pretty fun. We go to one called Suga Jinja in central Tokyo here, and it's like a medium-sized big shrine, but nice grounds. And they have like fires that they light up, and there's like all these ropes that they make into holes, and you know, whatever. You go with the kids. It's fun. It's fine. Better than Disneyland. I'd rather go to a shrine than Disneyland. Let me tell you that much. Disneyland is its own kind of religion, it seems. But yeah, it's the year of the snake, and that doesn't bode well for the marketing opportunities for the year. This is the first article that we're going to look at for today. And this is the Mainichi, Japan's national daily since 1922. And just to kind of emphasize how the snake is the year that's like gets the short end of the stick for its marketing opportunities for the most part, as opposed to tiger, dragon, dogs, we already mentioned. Crab, even. Tokyo Snake Cafe hopes to dispel fears, spread reptiles' charm with 2025 Zodiac. From January 9th, 2025, and it's January 9th today. And I'll be posting a picture of this snake cafe. It's popular with tourists. Tourism is basically, we become like Thailand, where just tourism is our national industry now. A snake cafe in capital's trendy Harajuku district is spreading the charm of snakes, which are often misunderstood as just scary creatures. Yes, a cold-blooded death tube. Before arrival of the year of the snake in the Chinese zodiac, this Mainichi Shimbun reporter decided to visit the Tokyo Snake Center, where visitors can interact with snakes and pet them. Upon entering the cafe, the reporter was greeted by the colorful reptiles in their enclosures. While there were many snakes, there were also many customers, and the place looked fully booked. Here, the snakes are referred to as snake attendants, and each apparently holding a specific role. First, customers can choose a snake to be their table attendant, which will accompany them to their seats. Around the seating area, relatively larger snakes, known as the display attendants, watch over the customers. As an option, visitors can also pet the creatures, a task handled by the interaction attendants. The animals' work is on a shift system with feeding times and molting schedules taken into account when organizing their shifts, according to the Snake Center. Inside the cafe, there are about 130 snakes spanning some 30 different species. Around 70% of the customers are reportedly women. It's not a bad look. The woman with a snake wrapped around her, it's always pretty sexy. Maybe that's the marketing opportunity here. Any of you Dentsu people listening, get on the sexy snake women motif. It's really the only one that appeals to a larger audience, and it's probably your only way out this year in terms of finding added value to the Zodiac sales folder. Inside the cafe, Keiko Mori, who visited for the first time from Tokyo's Koto Ward, said with a smile, "Since I was born in the year of the snake, I came to take a photo with a snake for my New Year's greetings." I'm so excited. All right. That's going to be that. So I don't know. I would personally not let my child near these snakes. I think we should fear snakes. And I think that when we see snakes, we should, at the very least, throw them away, pick them up and throw them away, at the very least. At the very most, maybe kill them. They'll eat your cats, they'll eat your kids. They're just cold, like they're death machines. We fear them for a reason. The year of the snake. Welcome, everybody, to the year of the snake. Let's take a look at something else for today. We're going to look at some supply chain wars, and after that, do some AI analysis via the Japan Society 5.0 window. So let's put this war jingle to the test here. Die for the war, everybody move. Die for the good, for the good. Die for the war, die for the war. Now, of course, the supply chain war, which we're actively engaged in, it really kicked off after COVID. It's the podcast position here that we are in a supply chain war, and the hot wars that are emerging around the world are evidence of the supply chain wars. You can call Palestine and Israel like an ethno-conflict, and Ukraine and Russia as an ethno-conflict, and Taiwan and China as like a ethno-conflict, let's call it that. But actually, when you look at where one side of the belligerents line up versus the other side, it's always G7 versus BRICS, essentially. And China has its one belt, one road policy. And on top of that, it's part of the BRICS consortium. I don't know what to call it, a basket of countries. And that's what they're doing. They want to have a new polar world. They don't want to go through the U.S. dollar. They're tired of U.S. sanctions and kind of this politicization of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. So they are carving off a new path for their futures, whether you like it or not. And with not with Hamas, but with Palestine and Israel is like G7. And then Palestine is BRICS. With Taiwan and China, Taiwan is G7. China is BRICS. And with Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine is G7 and Russia is BRICS. I'm getting my podcasting feet squared away here. It's been a while. And that's where it lines up. And if you consider like where these conflicts are taking place, they're like where one supply chain rubs up against another. In the case of Taiwan and China, it's the trade routes for the South China Sea that China wants to occupy and control. And if you look at Palestine and Israel, connecting into Syria there. In that region, it's largely about supply chains and oil as well. Not to mention like the so-called Israel's foothold of democracy in the Middle East. There's that aspect of it as well. And then with Ukraine and Russia, well, that's right on the border of a kind of a NATO satellite state that Ukraine has become versus BRICS. All these things, and there's a lot of supply chain, not just energy, but also the flow of goods and potential resources and developing new routes for trade that go all through there. So it's a supply chain war, but it goes beyond that. There's his name is Elbridge Colby, and I'm only referencing him here because he helped me out on a podcast episode once as kind of like I'm going to call him a producer, but he's not a producer. I just asked him a question. He's back in the American government, and he served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Defense, and now he's back in the Trump administration and to serve as the Pentagon's Undersecretary of Defense. He has a very interesting history. His father was grandfather was a director of the CIA during Vietnam. And a few years ago, Elbridge Colby started popping up around like Nikkei and doing a lot of Asian-focused, Taiwan-focused, American-first type of diplomacy strategies. And I asked him about some stuff, and he pointed me to some reports about how China is applying a lot of kind of AI pattern recognition into its low frequency radars that are positioned along the China coast facing Taiwan. And this is to kind of analyze incoming threats, but with low resolution or low frequency radar or low hertz radar, whatever you want to call it. I'm not an expert. The resolution you get back from it can be kind of dodgy, but by applying AI to it, you might be able to differentiate pixelization or image recognition patterns from one another. So maybe if it's me or you looking at some low resolution radar imagery that's been, somehow displayed on a screen somewhere, a passenger jet versus a bomber might look the same to us. But if the AI can distinguish the type of low resolution imagery it's getting and assign some probability to it, then you improve the ability of your existing infrastructure without having to replace it with expensive other radars. So I was like, oh, that's a very interesting idea. And that's when I realized that not only the supply chain networks are connected into like pipelines and resources and flow of goods, but it's also connected into the wireless networks. And that leads us into telcos, and that leads us into satellites, and that leads us into coordinating all these things together. And that's what the U.S. is doing, and Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX, and the Tesla cars will be able to transmit to those in the future, I'm sure. And the satellites, the low Earth orbiting satellites. And what's that internet service that they have as well for SpaceX? I can't remember it right now. So that's happening on the G7 side, more or less. And the Chinese side is also doing it, but in a different way. And so we have these supply chain wars. And with China's side, the other way involves Huawei. They have their own satellite networks. They also have balloon networks. If you remember the Chinese balloon floating over America, I've known about these things for a long time. They have these potential networks of balloons that can be launched off of ships and create kind of mini networks in like ocean areas. So they have like a secretive hidden internet via balloons and transmitters and stuff like that. Pretty crazy shit. Stop swearing, Bigelow. Stop swearing. That's the last swear for today. And that's one aspect of the supply chain war. So if you're going to be competing in these zones, well, now you're going to be fighting in these zones is essentially what it is. And so that's kind of the where I'm leading into this next article here is based on my research and interactions with members, high-level members of the government. Elbridge Colby follows me on Twitter, by the way. And I have experience in the telecom industry in Japan. A lot of that via wireless networks and stuff like that. So I kind of have some standing in this area, and it's like you venture into other areas and you realize that they start connecting together more and more and more and more and more. So it hasn't been all connected and presented to us in a nice little product that we can identify and point a finger at yet, but it's manifesting in that direction. And so the first article for the supply chain war today is called The Kill Chain Clash. China and U.S. battle for all domain supremacy by Gabriel Honorada from December 19th, 2024. Now, we're recording this on January 9th, but I always stress this. This is not a breaking news podcast. We look at recent trends, current trends, and how they might fit together for some sort of future analysis or future preparation, or don't get flat-footed by the developments that are happening in the future based on what we can piece together right now in some form, one way or another. So it's not a breaking news, react now. Is this a problem? What do we do? Get the guy. I don't do that. I don't like it. I like this measured approach. I consider it measured. China is sharpening. Oh, comes to us from the AsiaTimes.com. China is sharpening its electronic warfare blades against the U.S. Navy, targeting critical sensors and radars to disrupt the Americans' high-tech battle networks in a race for all-domain battlefield dominance. This month, the South China Morning Post reported that China's People Liberation Army have unveiled a detailed list of U.S. naval targets, including radars and sensors for potential electronic warfare attacks against U.S. aircraft carrier strike groups. SCMP says this kill list, published in the latest issue of Defense Industry Conversion in China, highlights the PLA's strategy for disrupting the U.S. Navy's Cooperative Engagement Capability System, a critical component of the fleet's air defense and early warning network. According to SCMP, the South China Morning Post, Mo Xiaoqing, an electronic countermeasures expert with the PLA's 92728 unit, authored the report and outlined how the CEC's reliance on wireless communication links makes it vulnerable to electronic interference. SCMP says key targets mentioned in the report include ANSPY-1 phased array radar on Aegis ships and the E-2C Hawkeye early warning aircraft. Aegis ships, Japan. Now, I believe Japan has Aegis ships. English. Aegis system equipped vessels, or Japanese Aegis system, are a pair of ballistic missile defense warships under construction. So this does connect into Japan because in many ways China sees Japan as a vassal state of the United States government, and you can make the argument that it is pretty occupied. And we do follow the Americans' lead more often than not, ever since Mr. Abe was mysteriously murdered. So there's that. But it does connect into Japan. And this is just like an example of how looking at the future technologies and future domains of warfare, it's going to be increasingly wireless communications, things we can't really see but affect our overall lifestyle. SCMP says the PLA aims to exploit these weaknesses to access the U.S. military network and disrupt operations. It mentions that this development underscores the growing technological rivalry between China and the U.S., with China leveraging its advanced electronic devices for military applications. The report says the U.S. has responded with sanctions on Chinese enterprises, inadvertently accelerating China's military-civilian integration. It wants to do, part of its military doctrine is the aim to dominate the electromagnetic spectrum in both civilian and military disciplines. And what was I wanted to find one thing. The multi-domain approach to attacking networks underscores the development of multi-domain operation kill chains. Maybe that would be the title. Oh, that's probably not a good title. The SEO doesn't like that. Kill chains, the process of detecting, identifying, and engaging military targets. Such chains may herald a new arms race between the U.S. and China. In the 2020 book, The Kill Chain, Defending America in the Future of High-Tech Warfare, Christian Bros argues that the evolving race to develop kill chains marks a seismic shift in military strategy. This is what I wanted to focus on. Bros says that hey bros, what's up bros? Unlike traditional arms races focused on hardware like battleships or nuclear weapons, the competition centers on cognitive superiority and decision-making speed. He mentions that the US and China are racing to master technologies such as AI, quantum computing, and advanced sensors that can accelerate and automate the kill chain. The goal, Bros says, what's up, bros, is to close the kill chain faster than the adversary while disrupting their ability to do the same. Bros argues that this arms race is not just about weapons, but about controlling the flow of information, turning human intent into battlefield action with unprecedented speed. So there we go. That's just an example of where we are in 2025. We don't see it. It's all around us, though. And it's more and more becoming like an issue of global hegemony domination in a way. Like, how do you become the number one if you don't have all domain supremacy? And this would also include infecting each other's information networks with campaigns that would demoralize the population or distract the population from focusing on important things, such as one thing that would be considered important might be taking this stuff seriously. So with everybody on TikTok, a Chinese algorithm that's promulgating through many of the G7 countries and has been for a few years, it's just a distraction. It doesn't engage people into serious matters. It soothes and distracts with meaningless fluff endlessly from the AI, China's AI advantages. So there's that to consider. How can you, as a population, compete against a rival population if you're constantly distracted? We'll see. So there's that. And then to kind of anchor that into Japan even further than the Aegis link, next article here from Mari Yamaguchi in the Japan Today website, japantoday.com, from January 9th today. It says, Japan leaks Chinese hacker mirror face to dozens of cyber attacks targeting security and tech data. So whereas the previous article is like a overarching 35,000-foot view, this one narrows it down a little bit more. Japan on Wednesday linked more than 200 cyber attacks over the past 5 years targeting the country's national security and high technology data to a Chinese hacking group, Mirror Face, detailing their attacks and calling on government agencies and businesses to reinforce preventative measures. The National Police Agency said its analysis on the targets, methods, and infrastructure of the cyber attacks by Mirror Face from 2019 to 2024 concluded that they were systematic attacks linked to China with an aim of stealing data on Japanese national security and advanced technology. Not going to go too much into it, but they used emails and phishing to target Japanese members of the self-defense forces there. And Japan is increasingly trying to get into cyber defense. So it's from a military perspective, from the international perspective of cyber defense, Japan might be at a disadvantage because while Japan might be increasingly aware of how these methods are used, they might not have enough direct experience with them, meaning that if other countries that have a lot of experience with them, like Ukraine, China, Russia, America, they have years of experience to befuddle and trick people with emails. So, for example, the emails to experts have repeatedly raised, Japan has taken stops, but experts say more work is needed. Mirror Face sent emails with attachments containing malware to targeted organizations and individuals to view data saved on computers, mainly from December 2019 to July 2023, often from Gmail and Microsoft Outlook Expresses using stolen identities. The emails typically use subject keywords such as Japan-US alliance, Taiwan Strait, Russia-Ukraine war, free and open Indo-Pacific, and included an invitation for a study panel, references, and a list of panelists and PA sets. So In another tactic, the hackers targeted Japanese organizations in areas of aerospace, semiconductors, information, and communications by exploiting vulnerabilities in virtual private networks to gain unauthorized access to information. So, a variety of methods there. And because Japan is so bad at real life English on the general level, and basically you have people who can speak English, but they have zero awareness and zero comprehension of how it's used maliciously because they just don't scam each other in English in Japan. It's a very insular country. They're therefore at risk. So your internal agencies that are focusing on cyber defense are at the same time vulnerable to the side of cyber defense because your workers in cyber defense are not exposed or don't have enough experience on the whole of dealing with these types of cyber attacks. They might know about them, they might have studied them, but have you practiced them? Have you been involved with them? Probably not. So there's that. So that's going to be the supply chain war for today, and looking at disruptions of our supply chains for the supply chain war by using AI and hacking to destabilize space networks to gain full spectrum dominance in these domains. Die for the war, everybody move. Die for the good, die for the war, die for the war. All right, let's look at Japan Society 5.0.
The fourth industrial revolution will enable us to create a new society. Artificial intelligence will transform the big data collected through the Internet of Things into new wisdom. Society 5.0, a technology-based, human-centered society.
Whoa.
The fourth industrial revolution will raise our standard of living and solve various challenges we face.
Yeah.
It will, for example, free us from the stress of driving, allowing us to safely visit anyone, anytime. We will have access to the latest medical advancements at a low cost, no matter where we are.
AI and robots. So that's the Japanese government's Japan Society 5.0 promotional song, stole from YouTube. And I like to say it frequently, but I first started learning about this because I was working in a Japanese telecommunications company at the time from 2015 to 2020. It's 5 years since then. And at that time, I was just focusing a lot on developing lessons based on AI markets for a lot of the people inside of this telecommunications company. And that's how I learned about it. And that's how I managed to work there for 5 years instead of the original plan 6 months. That's my opinion, or just saying it that way. And so I have standing in this field. And the idea here is I just want to begin by saying recently, in the recent podcast episodes, I've been finishing with a song that is a summary of the headlines that I select for the podcast episode. I get ChatGPT or Grok to turn all these headlines into sonnets. Then I put the sonnets into an AI generator, and it makes music based on that, based on the podcast theme. But I've been generating so much AI music that I ran out of credits from the Suno.com company that provides the AI music generator service. But what I'd like to do today is kind of show where the state of the art of AI music generation is just at the beginning here. And the reason I'm doing it's because the content of this song, the lyrics are based on drone operation and the drone wars, kind of specifically relating to Ukraine and Russia, but also we see it in some desert areas as well. And these are like the first person view drones where somebody has like a goggle and like a game controller, it seems, and they have a bomb on the bottom of a drone and they fly through the fields of the desert and they hunt for the enemy, and then they blow up a Jeep or a truck or they blow up a dude, or sometimes you see like a guy now will throw a stick at a drone and knock it out and stuff like that. And so I just thought because I can't play the song at the end of the podcast, well, I can play this song right now because it ties into what we were just talking about. And also, it's like with the idea of everybody on TikTok and all the musicians, not all, but most musicians trying to get some sort of 15-second hit song that people will play on TikTok. It kind of pisses me off that, you know, in the Vietnam War, bands would play like anti-Vietnam songs, and in the punk era in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, even like Green Day, who I don't really like that much, they would write protest songs about the invasion of Iraq and everything like that. But we don't get that anymore. I'm a musician, but I don't have enough time to write these songs, so I've been getting AI to do it. So I got AI to write a couple of sonnets about a drone operator. It's like, who are these people? How do they feel? And obviously AI will be replacing their job soon enough too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these AI generated sonnets. You know, I asked the generator to write a sonnet, and then I ask it to revise and revise and revise until I get it to a place where I like. So it's like, I can't remember which parts are mine and which parts are the AI. It's a total human AI generated sonnet. And a lot of poets might be like, well, that's not real. But it's like, well, is one more sonnet in the world a good thing or a bad thing? Think about it that way. So let's begin this. I'll read the sonnets, then I'll play the song. This one's called Drone Operator. Through his drone headset, he threads the summer air. Ordnance weighs the drone's swift sweep. A shadow shifts, he strikes, his mind detached from the air. The mighty blast rips apart an enemy-filled jeep. He used to feel the weight of every life, now down in his marrow, hollowed by the task. And so the thrill has dulled, the edge of strife, worn smooth by countless kills. A life taken has just become another chore. I should be reading it at iambic pentameter. Sorry. The drone operator waits with colder hand, an AI mind devoid of guilt or pride. It will replace his choices, his commands, a heartless hunter set to coincide. And yet relief, this burden lifts, decays. But summer hums distant, another name is on the list. A figure flees, half hidden in the wheat. This is the second sonnet. A figure flees, half hidden in the wheat, its motion faint as heat waves rippling low. The drone dives fast, his thumb ensures defeat. A distant flash, a silent final glow. Where once his heart had raced with every strike, now screens display what barely stirs his mind. The drone reports confirmed, and ghost-like, another face fades, lost to data's grind. An absence builds, unmoving in his mind. The AI's rise, unfeeling, cold, exact. Its judgment swift and pure will never bind to moral shores where human hearts react. The sweat around his FPV goggles, a burning shroud. He awaits for AI to release his killing from within the cloud. All right, let's play the song.
Through his drone headset, he threads the summer air. Ordnance weighs the drone swift sweep. A shadow shifts, he strikes, his mind detached from the air. The mighty blast rips apart an enemy-filled jeep. He used to feel the weight of every life, now down in his marrow, hollowed by the task. And so the thrill has dulled, the edge of strife worn smooth by countless kills. A life taken has become just another chore. The drone operator waits with colder hands, an AI mind devoid of guilt or pride. It will replace his choices, his commands. A heartless hunter set to coincide. And yet relief, this burden lives, decays. But summer hums distant, another judgment swift and pure will never bind to mortal shores where human hearts react. The sweat around his FPV goggles, a burning shroud. He awaits AI to release his killing from within the cloud.
All right. Oh, this next song's going to start by... That's another song about the soldiers who fight the drone operators. This is part of a compilation I'm working on. It's an AI playlist of songs called Sonnets for the Damned. And I have about 9 songs in there now, but you might think that song was just okay, that drone operator song. I quite like it. But to get AI to make a song that good, it takes like 30 or 40 tries because most of the songs are just not very good at all. So that's just an example of where we are with the state of the art of AI technology. So I live in downtown Tokyo, and I was walking around as I like to do. And I was walking past an area in Akasaka Mitsuke near the big camera there. And I saw a QR code on a pole, and it said above it, Smart pole. And I had my eyebrow lifted up. I was like, I've been waiting for you because I know what this infrastructure looks like. It looks like existing infrastructure. So before whipping up my camera or phone and or getting access to the QR code, first thing I did, smart pole. I looked up. I could see 3 AI cameras pointing in various directions. And I know they're AI cameras because I know what AI cameras look like. And then I looked to the side of the smart pole, and about a couple feet away was a display for advertisements. And I knew that this was all one and the same thing. So we have smart poles going up around the city now and have for some time. I believe in Roppongi as well, at the Roppongi main intersection there, they have a bunch of 5G poles. And in previous iterations, when we looked at telecommunication infrastructure, like or even satellites or satellite dishes, it was very obvious. But now it's not. Now they can look fashionable. Like a pole that's a 5G communication tower can look nice. It looks like a statue. It could be a statue, in fact. And that's not a statue. It's a 5G communication tower, which is fine. But the thing about the naysayers of this technology, I think that they are naysaying to the extent that they are because they don't see it. You could see an airplane at first and go like, wow, look at that, a Zeppelin, boom, wow. Atomic bombs, footage of that, whoa, landing on the moon if you choose to believe that. But a smart pole, it's just a pole with a few cameras on top and a screen next to it, but you don't realize what's going on with the cameras transmitting all the crowd analysis data to a cloud somewhere. Just don't see it. So I went and eventually took a picture of the smart pole. I guess I'll be posting pictures of that at MatthewPMBigelow.com. And I went to the website of the smart pole, the company called Sharing Design. And I translated it from Google AI translation here. And this is called the Tokyo Smart Pole Project 2023. Business overview. This is from sharingdesign.co.jp. 2 smart poles have been installed in Minato Ward. By utilizing the functions installed on the smart poles, such as Wi-Fi access points and cameras, we will work to solve local issues such as ensuring communication during disasters, utilizing data collected through the year for policy planning, and cleaning up the environment. What is a smart pole? It is a next-generation urban infrastructure that has 3 functions. It is connected through 5G antennas and high-speed Wi-Fi. The urban environment is visible through people flow measurement cameras and environmental sensors, and information is communicated through digital signage. And there's like a giant list of where they want to go. So right now there's only 2, but this thing has there's like I'm looking at a verification schedule, and they have plans to expand these polls and other versions of them throughout the next few years. And you can go to MatthewPMBigelow.com and get more information that way. Disaster prevention functions. Minato Ward has a large daytime population, and disaster prevention measures are a challenge, as many people are expected to remain stranded in the ward in the event of a big earthquake or a major typhoon. In this project, we will verify how the functions of smart poles can be utilized to contribute to disaster prevention. Disseminating intervention through speakers, visualization of people flow, and provision of communication equipment. So you'll be able to connect to the internet if you're stranded there. Information transmission. They want to transmit government information using signage. And this is done cheaply because you don't have to have giant campaigns made up by the government. You just tell this company what to say and it will display it and announce it. Measurement of the effectiveness of information dissemination and other attributes and user attributes, and providing local tourist information. Ooh, tourist. Environmental beautification. Using people flow cameras to check smoking area usage, waiting lines, and measuring smoking on the streets in the surrounding area. Implementation of awareness-raising activities using signage and measurement of their effectiveness, and utilizing acquired data. So this is, of course, there's smoking in Tokyo used to be a major thing up until about 15 years ago. And since then, they've installed all of these no smoking zones and smoking zones. So if you want to go have a smoke outside, there's like these boxes where people congregate and people line up outside them, but you're only supposed to smoke inside the box. But of course, people are like, well, one person's on one side of the box and I'm on the other side of the box. Surely it's okay if I light up my cigarette here, because after all, it's just the difference of a few inches. But these cameras will be looking at people who do that, and they might in the future publicly shame them. Do not smoke here. Get in the box, citizen. Smoke in your box, you citizen. We kindly ask you, citizen, to stop smoking and to go in the box, or we will close the box. I don't know what's going to happen. They'd probably just shame you. But these are the kinds of things that are beginning to pop up here. And if you're just walking down the street and you don't know about this stuff, you just see a QR code and be like, it's just another QR code. But if you're like, wait a minute, why is there a QR code on a pole? And it says smart pole. Then it links you to this website with all these public-private partnerships between the government and the surveillance networks. Maybe it's something we should be aware of. Next topic. Hakodate-yama. AI cameras are being used to visualize the surrounding area's congestion, right? So this is, of course, Hakodate is in, I believe it's Hokkaido. I'm not sure. Hakodate-yama. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. Hakodate-yama. Hakodate-yama. Where is it? Not really getting much. Anyways, it doesn't really matter if it's in Hokkaido or not. I was just saying, like, the AI cameras, if it's being used in Tokyo on a smart pole, well, it's probably going to be used elsewhere as well. And so this is to combat over-tourism at Mount Hakodate, one of the world's 3 greatest night views in Japan. Okay, sure. Mount Hakodate. I was thinking Hakodate-yama could be anywhere else in Japan, but Hakodate is a popular destination in Hokkaido. So the observation deck at the summit of Mount Hakodate is one of the famous spots visited by many tourists to view the beautiful night view. But in order to solve the problems of over-tourism, Hakodate City has established a congestion status distribution system with the aim of alleviating congestion and improving the satisfaction of tourists visiting the city, and has decided to undertake this initiative. The congestion situation around Mount Hakodate is visualized in real time using AI cameras provided by Vacant. The congestion situation detected by the AI cameras is displayed in 4 categories: very crowded, crowded, slightly crowded, and empty. and the congestion situation at the Ropeway Summit Station and Base Station is distributed via 2 digital signage locations and a website. Through the above initiatives, in addition to reducing anxiety about unnecessary waiting time by allowing users to check congestion information on their smartphones or other devices before visiting a location, we are hopeful that this will help disperse congestion even before the visit, providing a higher level of experience and improving tourist satisfaction than ever before. And they'll have some pictures there on you for the website as well. Similar application, but one's used for the government to distribute information in times of emergency, and then the other one's just to get up a ropeway. But it's the same principle of innocuous technology streaming AI collected data to a cloud somewhere that when a threshold is activated, things begin to change. I almost swore. I didn't swear. Next, Toyota's experimental smart city nearly ready to roll. I've been thinking about moving here. I wonder if they need an English school. Should I apply? Should I apply to be Tokyo's smart city's official English teacher? I'd take the job. I would. What's up, Toyota? How many English teachers know about AI to this level? None. Toyota Motor Corp has announced plans to open a prototype smart city at the foot of Mount Fuji as early as this fall. The city will feature hydrogen power, autonomous mobility, artificial intelligence, and other advanced technologies. Toyota chairman Akio Toyoda, an amazing man, revealed that the plans on January 6th at a Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. This marks the auto giant's return to the annual technology trade show after a 5-year hiatus. The place is called Woven City, and it was announced, I think, in late 2019 or 2020, around then. Quote, by combining Toyota's strengths with those in industries outside of the automotive sector, we can create new value, products, and services that no single company or individual could achieve alone, Toyota said. The first 100 residents of Woven City, located in Susuno, Shizuoka Prefecture, will be Toyota employees and their families. The futuristic community will eventually accommodate around 2,000 people, including those from outside the Toyota Group. 5 companies, including air conditioner manufacturer Daikin Industries Limited and beverage maker Daido Drinko Inc., have announced their participation in the project. Toyota is inviting more businesses, particularly innovative startups, to join the initiative and test their new technologies. Described as a test course for mobility, Woven City is envisioned as an experimental ground for cutting-edge technologies such as autonomous driving and AI. Planned services include electric buses using Toyota's e-pallet vehicle, mobile vending, and a delivery service that integrates smartphone apps with delivery robots. This is, if anybody from Toyota Woven City is listening to me, and I've been trying to push this idea for a while, delivery robots are great, but what if instead of having to line up to get ice cream or other products inside of a park, like you take your kids to a park, we need some ice cream. Okay, let's stand in line for 25 minutes. What if instead of that, what if you had a network of robots in the park, and the park is reasonably sized, but because it's you can control the environment of a park, you can have all the trees be lower than the 5G towers. And then you have a whole bunch of Boston Dynamics style robot dogs, or whatever those robot dogs, it can be Toyota robot dogs for all I care. They are equipped with dispensing technologies. And so it could be a variety as well. You could have ice cream dispensing robot dogs. You could have takoyaki dispensing robot dogs. You could have chocolate cookie dispensing robot dogs. And you can also have a very special robot dog, what I call the Kara Haiboto. And this is a dual component of food services, food and drink services that it would allow tired fathers on the weekend to take advantage of. And Kara is from Karaage. And Hai is from highball. Kara Haiboto. And I would be able to sit at a table and find an available Kara Haiboto. And then I would, via app, order a highball and order some karaage. And the robot would locate me. And while it's on the way to deliver the karaage and highball to me, it would begin preparing the karaage, the fried chicken. And then when it reaches me, provides a QR code or a code, and I scan it, and it authenticates the purchase. Boop! It opens up one side, and some very fresh karaage slide out of a tray, and I take that karaage, and then on the back half of the robot, it's mixing whiskey highball, and then the whiskey highball lifts out of the top of this robot, and I take that whiskey highball. Now I have karaage and a whiskey highball delivered to me, and I don't have to look for coins or bills or anything like that. And then next to me, another robot comes and provides some ice cream for my son, provides some takoyaki for us all to share, and also might provide a nice cup of green tea, hot or cold, for my wife. You could have a network of specified robots, and the menu would be in the app, and then you would connect to the menu that you would want, and then the closest robot to you that's available would begin coming to you and preparing it as you come. I think that's a fantastic idea, by the way, because it would integrate the idea of living with robots with leisure, as opposed to just some mere last 1 mile part of a supply chain issue that the technology companies have yet to solve. Think about it. Think about experimenting on small scale with robot delivery of leisurely products inside of parks. That kind of operate as like a diving board of existing things that people enjoy in parks in Japan anyways, like yakisoba, drinks, snacks, little picnic items could work. And then you would offer people that they have like a cultural connection with something with technology. And so it would fuse that gap that often exists with new technology. I don't need this new technology because I already can do it by myself. Well, what if it's like a traditional thing? Or what if it's just something awesome, like having a robot dog prepare karaage and a highball for you in a park? Please consider it. Please hire me as your English teacher. I don't know if Toyota will ever hire a person like me to be their English teacher, by the way. The next item on today's podcast is user supplied. So I forgot to get permission to use Michael's first and last name. So I'm just going to use his first name, but he sent me a clipping from my alumni, the Japan News. And this is kind of an interesting idea. I thought I would include it because it's just an area of development that I haven't been focusing on much, and it's useful in that way. So thank you he's going to get a producer credit, by the way, Mr. Michael. Thank you for producing this segment of the podcast. The infrastructure industry is developing a system that utilizes administrative information by local governments to detect vacant houses using AI, based on information such as water usage, resident registers, and real estate registries. The system uses AI to calculate the probability that a building is unoccupied. For example, if the building is an old wooden house with very low water use and only one elderly resident registered, the system displays a high probability that the house is unoccupied. As some vacant houses are difficult to identify from exterior alone, the aim of the new system is to detect them at an early stage and make them available for sale or rent, or demolish them before they collapse. The number of household members and their ages are included in basic resident registers in Japan, and the age and structure of properties can be learned through real estate registries. The new system analyzes the probability of vacant houses by combining these housing-related data. The accuracy of calculation by the system is improved by combining not only information held by public authorities, but also water and power usage data provided by utility companies. The results of the analysis are shown as a percentage for each property on a digital map. The ministry intends to make the system available free of charge in the future so that it can be used by local governments across the country. I'll stop it there. Well, that's kind of interesting. I also think that maybe if real estate developers, because there's like a lot of major glass and steel towers going up in Tokyo, they are looking for areas to develop So if they can have access to areas that have a lot of empty houses in them, those might be areas to snap up and build on for large commercial projects as well. Just an idea. I don't see why that wouldn't be an idea. But one thing that's interesting is that this is a system made by the government, so it's taxpayer funded, and they are using it so that it can be available free of charge so that local governments can also use it. Why would you charge the government if you're the government making it? It's just, I thought it was a bit strange. So I'm not sure, but this is from the Yomiuri, and the Yomiuri kind of has like a very pro-government bias, generally speaking, and this is like always AI news from the Yomiuri is like, the government is using AI to make your life better. That's kind of their slant. So I'm not sure how far it goes down the rabbit hole. We're just going to list off a few more things here before moving on for today. This comes to us from cloudwatchimpress.co.jp. TVI releases AI-equipped omnidirectional camera capable of recording 360 degrees. The omnidirectional camera can grasp a situation in 360 degrees with one camera and can detect people and vehicles using AI analysis. If a detected person or vehicle crosses a virtual line or enters a virtual area, an alert can be sent. It's like a tripwire, like a digital tripwire. In addition, the camera and recorder can be used to output audio from the speaker so that, for example, if a wandering person is detected in an ATM area, an announcement can be made such as, if you have business with us, please come to the counter. TBI says it will continue to propose concrete and innovative solutions to problems around the world in order to create a safe and secure society. The reason I'm including this one is that a lot of places will include like 4 or 5 cameras, but this is one 360-degree camera, so you wouldn't need to set up as many cameras to observe a wider area of coverage in a bank or something like that. This camera seems to be made by a company called Hanwha. I wonder where they're from. Next, updated AI fish size measurement camera function to display the number of fish caught in real time and streamline the work of fish farmers. iEnter Co. Limited has updated the functions of its AI fish size measurement camera. In addition to being able to display the number of fish caught in real time, it also provides an efficient shooting environment and helps solve problems in the fishing industry. The recording app and camera frame have been improved to display the number of fish captured in real time, providing an efficient shooting environment. I'm not going to go too much into it. This is from Yahoo News, and Japanese news likes to repeat itself a lot. So not only is this used for human surveillance, but for processing of major industries like fish. It uses fish. It can count the amount of fish. If you're counting fish by hand or by guesstimates, maybe it's better to have a camera do it. Kyocera improves productivity of AI and robots through sensing. In recent years, Japan's labor shortage has become a serious social issue. One solution is to improve productivity through AI and robotics. They can do lots of things. Jobs that are expected to be automated include line work and sorting work in the manufacturing industry, transportation work in the logistics industry, etc. Many of these jobs involve physical tasks such as grabbing and moving parts or driving vehicles. So this company has developed a small AI distance measuring camera. Today's focus is on AI cameras because that's just what I found to be the most diverse set of skill sets for these things. I'm not going to go too much into it. But anyways, it's basically a sensor and a lens, and it's able to be more specific for the types of line work activities that robots are expected to perform in the future. A couple more. Nikken Academy introduces face recognition attendance management system supported by Sanshin Electronics. Nikken Academy has adopted NEC Solution Innovators Facial Recognition Impersonation Prevention Solution and introduced 369 facial recognition terminals to 114 directly managed schools nationwide. This means that students no longer need to carry IC cards, and attendance can be managed using smartphones. In addition, it is no longer necessary for staff to verify the students' identities, which has resulted in stricter attendance management and improved staff work efficiency. It has also become possible to grasp and analyze student attendance status more accurately. Nikin Academy, a vocational school where students aim to obtain qualifications such as architect, have previously managed attendance with IC cards. However, there were issues with preparing the IC cards and verifying the identity of students to prevent substitutes from taking classes. Nikin Academy highly evaluated the product they introduced because it converts facial recognition information into a QR code and is managed by the individual. So the burden on managing personal information is low and it is safe. Other key points in their decision to adopt the product were that it does not require a server or network environment, making it possible to build a system at low cost, and that it uses NEC's highly accurate authentication engine to achieve high-speed, highly accurate authentication. In the future, the school plans to establish a system to protecting personal information in the future. Who cares about now? Yeah, we'll introduce it first and protect it later. But if you're like at first it's like these solutions like, hey, we don't have to fill out the paperwork to give you a card anymore, or then you have to fill out all these IC cards, then you have all these codes that go with them, then where do you put them, where do you store them, how do you manage that? And if you have a company or if you're managing large scale, it takes time to do all that. Then you have to have like teams of people making cards and distributing cards, and people lose cards and they forget cards, and it does become something that used to make things streamlined becomes its own bottleneck in the future. And even like small scale startups and stuff like that, if you have a very busy day and you have like 3 or 4 new people coming into your team and you don't have enough time to make their cards for like maybe a week or 2 even, well, then those people have to like mill outside of doors and wait for other people to open doors for them if they're in locked areas, or you always have to be escorted by somebody. But if you could just take your picture, upload it, or register it as a QR code, and then use that QR code as like a lock scanner or something like that, and then maybe those people quit, you just delete that, and now that QR code no longer works to unlock the door. It makes things much easier, much faster. And as people like are much more mobile in their jobs and they move around a lot more, it might make more sense to move to this type of solution. So it seems like it's kind of like it is kind of boring and dull, but in terms of the reinforcement of the idea that this technological revolution is more an unviewed one. Well, as before we had all these cards around our necks, and if you see someone with a card around their neck, you're like, oh, that person is using that as a lock, or that's their company key card. And if they're wearing it and not wearing it, that kind of shows their kind of intent of what they're doing, maybe even their status within the company. But if it's just all facial recognition, you don't notice it anymore. It's not even noticeable. We've been covering this. Another Frido apartment complex has sold out recently. So I've been covering these new condominiums that are being built throughout Japan that are equipped with facial recognition locks. And it's a facial recognition lock for the front door, for everybody, for the front gate. And then your face will specifically unlock your door. And then this company called Frido uses it as a platform so that now that you have a bunch of people who want to use this technology, you begin to offer them more solutions, such as purchasing things online, going to a concert without a ticket, your face is registered in advance. All of these things become possible. And I just was looking today, and another one has sold out. Versklesia IDZ Machia residential condominium units sold out. So it's another one. Most people don't even know this, but every month or so I see this, and it's just, boop, they're all gone. They're all sold out all the time. Property Agent Co., a company based in Shinjuku, creates new value by fusing the digital and real worlds, is pleased to announce that all residential units for its in-house developed facial recognition condominium, Versklesia IDZ Machia, have been sold out. Our group's facial recognition condominiums, Kresia and Versklesia IDZ series, have adopted the facial recognition platform Frido to increase the asset value of condominiums, and the entrance, delivery box, elevator, and each auto lock can be unlocked with just facial recognition. The facial recognition system makes condominium lives safer, more comfortable, and smarter. The facial recognition apartment building is a 13-minute walk from Machia Station on the Chiyoda line and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to go into it too much, but yet just another evidence, more evidence of the unseen technological revolution. And I wouldn't mind this stuff. I like to have a key as a backup, just in case the technology fails, the network goes out, someone breaks the camera. What do you do then, right? Maybe they have enough cameras now, but what if the supply chain breakdown happens, or if they're getting their cameras from China and China stops shipping this type of technology to Japan in case some sort of shiznat breaks out over Taiwan, then what do you do? So the backup solution should always be there, but it's interesting that these company now, what they're doing is they're compiling a wider and wider list of people who want to opt into this technology and are spending a lot of money to opt into it. Now they know they have this market, very specific market segment of the population, and they can begin to expand offerings to these people to find greater value through the use of biometrics and their cloud-based platforms. Just a couple more headlines for today. Microsoft expects to spend $80 billion on AI this fiscal year. That's a lot. And anything else? A couple more. I'm going to skip that. That's non-related to Japan Society 5.0. So, interesting compilation here from Japan Society 5.0, from using sonnets to write songs about drone warriors and then having them built into like indie girl pop songs, to the ever rise of the non-visual AI technological revolution that we are unfolding. It's happening here. It's happening now on the Japan Web Podcast. Let's bounce out of this segment.
The fourth industrial revolution will enable us to create a new society. Artificial intelligence will transform the big data collected through the Internet of Things into new wisdom. Society 5.0, a technology-based, human-centered society. The fourth industrial revolution will raise our standard of living and solve various challenges we face. It will, for example, free us from the stress of driving, allowing us to safely visit anyone, anytime. We will have access to the latest medical advancements at a low cost, no matter where we are. AI and robots will enhance human ability and expand our infinite possibilities, helping us enjoy more fulfilling lives. Society 5.0, for the betterment of human lives.
All right, that's going to be it for the Japan Web Podcast for today. Remember to go over to the website, MatthewPMBigelow.com. Check out the links and photos based on today's podcast. And if you're interested in checking out more of my music, Sonnets for the Damned with AI-generated sonnets, I'll be posting that link up at MatthewPMBigelow.com as well. Until next time, everybody, it's not happening. It's not in the future. It's happening now. I bid thee a very warmful and heartful Ja Mata.